Good evening, dear viewers. On today's broadcast, with a heavy heart, I must inform you that the Rootrees are dead. Welcome everybody, today we're talking about one of the wealthiest families in the world, the rulers of the maple syrup and the candy industry, the Rootrees. In this video, I'm going to tell you about the events of the game The Rootrees Are Dead, created by the Evil Trout Incorporated. The first part of the video will be pretty spoiler-free and I'll let you know when the spoilers approach. So, let's begin. The events of the game take place in 1998, after the devastating plane crash that took lives of the head of the Roottree Corporation, his wife and daughters, the Roottree sisters. Now their money must be redistributed to the rest of the family, but only to those who are actually blood relatives. That's where you come in. A mysterious woman appears on your doorstep, asking you to detangle the old roots of the Roottree family tree. Armed only with the power of your mighty dial-up modem, you look for photos, books, articles, and other evidence to get to the bottom of this. You will uncover dark family secrets, million-dollar scandals, conspiracy theories, and many other clues which will lead you to the truth. In the beginning of the game, you find yourself in a cozy, dimly lit room on a rainy day with jazz playing in the background. There is a bunch of stuff to explore. Most of the research happens on your trusty computer. The game has a very cool in-game search engine, Spider Search, where you can find a ton of interesting information, even unrelated to the main plot of the game. You can even look up some of the real-world stuff. For example, I read the whole Alphabet Davis book series, which is an in-game book series, and found some information about the curious little game The Rootrees Are Dead. This game is perfect for ferocious readers, because you need to do a lot of reading to get to the end. During your search, you can highlight the useful information and store it in your notebook. You can also look up major in-game publications and periodicals and, even play a computer game. Another important place to explore is your evidence table, where all of the photos, musical records, books, and articles you print will be collected. And of course, we can't forget about the star of the show, the family tree. It's huge and maybe just a bit intimidating, but filling it in brings the major satisfaction. Frankly, that's the most important mechanic of the game. You'll find the person, locate their place on the family tree, fill in their photo, full name, and occupation. And booyah! You're one step closer to solving the mystery. And if you're stuck and super confused with all of those names, there is a cute little duck to help you, so don't be shy, ask it a question. The atmosphere of the game is incredible. The radio, the computer sounds, the jazz is just such a pleasure. By the way, you can get soundtracks for the game for free if you already have the game, and I've been listening to them while writing the script, so go get them. I love the art style in the game and the amount of original content in the game, musical groups, books, super neat conspiracies, and much more. If all of this sounds fascinating, it's time for you to leave this video and go play this game for yourself, because it's 100% worth your time. But if you for some reason don't want or can't play the game, stick around to find out what's the deal with all these Rootrees. This is your final spoiler warning. The main objective of the game is to uncover the family history, so it goes something like this. There was a man by the name of Elias Roottree, who got married to Gwyneth Anderson and got her family's old maple farm. So, in 1908, the Roottree Candy Company was born. Their signature product was 5-piece, a pack of candy with the names of the flavors corresponding with the initials of their 5 kids. The original flavors were grape, elderberry, egg cream, cinnamon extract, and melon, like Gwendolyn, Elias Jr., Clancy Edward, Margolite, and Miracle. Wait, I'm sorry, there was no egg cream. Is it even a flavor? Does it exist? It was Miracle Berry. Yeah, I'm sorry, my mistake. Anyway, time passed, kids grew up, and it was time for Elias to retire. But there was a problem. he held the company for such a long time that no eligible for the role kids wanted it. Girls did not count, and boys were an architect, a doctor, and a preacher. That's where three major events happened. First, the creation of the Clancy Trust, named after its creator, Clancy Edward Roottree, Elias's lawyer's son. This trust ensured that all the blood relatives, and only blood relatives, would get a margin of the company's profit, so all the Elias's descendants would be set for life, because, as he used to say, the blood is thicker than syrup. Second, the new president of the company was chosen, Zechariah Morden, a person from the so-called New Gen, the generation of Elias's grandchildren. Though with a different last name, he was a firstborn son of Elias's eldest daughter and most fit for the job. And finally, the third event, an introduction of Sam Madsen to the family. No one from the New Gen really knew where she came from and why was introduced to the family now. According to the company's records, she spent all of her childhood at the old Anderson maple farm, but appeared to be an illegitimate child of Elias Jr. and his now wife, Patricia Christensen. The new generation of Roottrees has a couple of more notable family members. For example, Lauren Roottree, who is a renowned author. Actually, most information about the family can be found in her diaries. And I can't forget about my crush, Gwyn Roottree, the actress, the beauty, the first woman in the family to be someone but a housewife. Also, I think it's time to mention a miracle branch of the family, the kids and grandkids of the youngest son of Elias Roottree, Miracle. He was born way later than all of his other siblings, and all you have to know about them for now is that the firstborns of this branch are usually preachers, and the others are mechanics, and none of them seem to be interested in the company. The next generation is the Free Spirits. Three latest presidents of the company come from it. First, Guy Hudson, who took over when Zach retired. He became infamous for almost ruining the company, trying to invent some new flavors, and tragically dying in a car crash. Then came Ernie Jr., the son of Sam Madsen, who was incredibly invested in the company, but tragically fell ill not long after becoming a president. The peculiar thing about him was, despite bringing a huge profit to the company, especially after the period that the Guy Hudson was president, the Ernie Jr. could not afford his treatment and died. After that, Carl became a new president, as he was the best fit for the role, but unfortunately, as we know now, he died in a plane crash. There are a few more Rootrees from this generation worth mentioning, like Caroline Morden, Clark Rafferty, James Roottree, Ronald and Robert Roottree. Let's start with Caroline. She's Zach's daughter. She was an artist and a first openly gay Roottree. Clark and James had a music group together, and while James's marriage was as hard as a diamond, his wife's name was a diamond, Clark had a very messy personal life. Ronald and Robert Roottree worked in the film industry, like their mother, Gwen, and they are infamous for the lawsuit RR versus Rootrees, during which Ronald tried to remove Robert from the Clancy Trust, as the latter had a gambling problem. Remember this lawsuit, this is gonna be important later. And we can't forget about the youngest generation of Rootrees. Most of them are still kids, but others are already building a career. For example, Caroline's daughter, Stephanie, is a politician. The Roottree sisters are models for their mother's clothing brand, Root, and James's daughter, Candy, is a musician. Now, as the tree is complete, the mysterious woman reveals herself as Sam Madsen. But there is still one photo on the tree missing. The photo of her adoptive parent from the old Anderson maple farm. There is one photo left unused in our evidence. The photo of the man with eerie resemblance to Clancy Edward Roottree. This is the photo of his disowned twin brother, Edward Clancy Roottree. Edward was disowned for being gay and sent to work on the Anderson maple farm, where he and his partner brought up little Sam. Sam was a quote-unquote mistake of her then young parents, Elias Jr. and Patricia, which was hidden from the world on the old Anderson maple farm. That's why the youngest kid from the 5 pieces, Miracle, was born way after all of his other siblings, and before his birth, the 5-piece flavors were different. It was egg cream before it was changed to the Miracle Berry. That's why kids of Sam Madsen did not have access to the Clancy Trust, and Ernie Jr. could not afford his treatment. By the end of the game, Sam is finalizing her book 6th piece to bring light to the story of her adoptive fathers, and after its release, we got ourselves her chunk of the Clancy Trust, and we're rolling, 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 rolling down the city. So yeah, this is pretty much sums up the story of the game, but as the credits roll, we realize that this is not the end. Welcome everybody to the Roottreemania. The game takes place 8 months after the plane crash, and this time the new president of the Roottree Corporation is the one knocking on our door. This time Sam's book 6 piece has been released. It got mixed reviews, but was a bestseller for a few months, and Carl had not been replaced yet. Then, in March, a month after the book's release, came the Roottree Rift. The company attempted to publicly respond to the book, but due to lack of leadership, there were several conflicting responses, and that was not good for the company's reputation. Then, the new president was finally chosen, Clark Rafferty LaRouche, who officially welcomed Sam into the family. That's how the Roottreemania started. Many people decided to test their luck, as maybe, just maybe, they also turn out to be a Roottree. To deal with the mess, the Roottree Corporation hired a law firm, Ruby Enterprises. The highest profile case they had to deal with involved a rapper, Felix Felowis, who claimed to be the son of Guy Hudson, and even changed his moniker to 5-piece as a publicity stunt. Rootrees denied any possibilities of him being a blood relative, but the DNA test proved otherwise. Another case involved an anonymous woman known as Anonymom, who claimed she had a daughter with Guy Hudson. Her story was very similar to the one of Felix, but her daughter's DNA test was negative. So, this game revolves around cheating and its results, the illegitimate children. But before we dive deep into the sea of infidelity, let's start with some positive news. Last time we met Stephanie, Caroline's daughter, she was pregnant, and now she has a beautiful baby girl. Congratulations to her. Now, to the mess. There are 3 main subjects of cheating allegations: Elias Roottree, Miracle Roottree, and Guy Hudson, who definitely takes the crown on this one. Let's start with Elias. In her book, Sam speculates that Elias's affair was the reason his wife was able to pressure him into bringing Sam back into the family. Nothing can be proven, as it happened so long ago, but it's speculated that Elias had an affair with the writer of the fluff piece about him, Bess Williams, and possibly even built her statue. The book is called Family Man. Ironic, isn't it? In contrast to that, Miracle's affair can be proven, as the mother of his child was a religious singer. Unfortunately, the boy later became quite an infamous criminal, Crocodile Clementine. And with the small fish out of the way, it's time for the shark. Guy Hudson. Quick note before we start, I'm not going too deep on each of the stories, because I'm not sure I fully understand them myself, especially with the guy, and also it will probably take another 20 minutes, so if you want to know all the nitty-gritty, go play the game for yourself. Let's continue. As we find out, most of the people coming forward are claiming to be the kids of Guy Hudson, as the man was notorious for his affairs. I won't talk about the one which allegedly resulted in 5Ps, and move on to his second affair. The woman in question is Christine Perroa, who used to work as Guy's secretary. But their relationships didn't last very long, as she met her future husband, Stephen Garland. They had 2 boys together, and one of them, James, was actually the son of Guy Hudson. The third affair of Guy's was with Sing-Yu Lau, who is a CEO of Lang Tai Textile Company. After she met Guy, she traveled to America, where she supposedly had an IVF done to carry a child for her sister, but as you can probably guess, there was no IVF. Guy's fourth affair was with the Brazilian media mogul Sonia Alves. She was married to an older man at quite a young age and wasn't happy with that marriage. She met Guy at the New Year's party, and as you may guess, her son is the result of that meeting. Hudson's final affair was with the principal of the Grandorf School of Deaf, Susan Ford, though when the affair happened she was just an interpreter for the Rootrees. She had twins, and both of them are Guy's daughters. And if you're wondering what was Guy Hudson's wife's opinion on all of that cheating, well, let's just say she was as interested in women as her husband was. Now to the tricky part. 5 Ps. Why tricky, you might ask? The DNA proved it all. But we'll see about that. He claims to be the child of Guy's first affair. According to the rapper, his mother used to be the secretary of Zach Morden, which checks out, and stayed when Guy became a president. But the date of his birth doesn't seem to really match up. He's a couple of years younger than he's supposed to be. Are we bad at math? Or could DNA test be falsified? Well, if your friend is a lawyer working on the case, then everything is possible. If we dig deep enough, we can find out that Felix Fellowes, aka 5 Ps, and Ruby Spratt from Ruby Enterprises have a long history together, and are both huge advocates for the welfare distribution. Those guys faked the DNA test of 5 Ps and sabotaged the DNA test of Anonymon's daughter, Jane Doe, who is actually Guy's daughter. And in addition to that, they stole her story to make their lie more believable. And with that, all the affairs are uncovered. We did great. But wait, we're not done yet. Now, 2 of the people from the original family tree may turn out to be not blood relatives. Those are Ronald and Robert Roottree. But I'll leave it to you to find out who's actually a blood relative. Well, okay, so listen, remember the lawsuit, right? So, the irony of it is that Ronald is not a Roottree, and Robert is a Roottree. And if you remember, Ronald tried to remove Robert because of the gambling addiction Robert had, but it should have been vice versa because Ronald is not a Roottree at all. Okay, and with that, all the trees are complete, and you say, money is the root of all your problems. Let me take those problems away. And one more time. Well, yeah, that's a banger. Probably not the way I sing it, but I love the song. And as you might see, I love the game too. And guys, there is so much more than I told you. Like, honestly, I skipped a lot of stuff which makes the world of the game so fascinating and full. And probably some of the stuff I told you doesn't seem to really, connect, or it doesn't seem that groundbreaking. That's because, you don't know the inner kitchen of all of that. All of those interpersonal relationships, like, again, Robert and Ronald, Lauren's diaries, and, she had brothers. They exist. And whole family trees of families of illegitimate children, because, of Lies and Miracle, there are trees of them as well. All of the cool stuff, which hints on the grand reveal, or just shines a light on the family life, like in general. Not to mention, like, Family Doku or Alphabet Davis book series. Like, you gotta read them. I've spent 20 hours in the game, and I think I'm not just a genealogy genie anymore. I'm a Roottree. You know, I did play through the first game by myself without the Super Duck's help, but Roottreemania was genuinely hard for me, and I did overuse the duck quite a bit, especially when time came to eliminate the extra kids. Another important mechanic in the second game I did not mention. Like, it didn't really affect the game, but, it was there. You know, though Roottreemania was very hard, it was still very fun, and the Rootrees Are Dead are fun as well. I loved it so much. I hope you go and play the game for yourself, because there is so much more to it than I could fit in this video, and I didn't want to fit more, honestly, because it feels like stealing from you from the game. You just go and play it. Probably I'm overhyping it, but I really loved it. Anyway, go play the game, listen to the music, read all about the conspiracies, and definitely beat Family Doku. I wish the developer all the best in their future projects from the bottom of my heart, honestly, because they deserve it. Go wishlist their upcoming game, The Incident and Galley House. And as for me, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you for sticking around for such a long time. I wrote the whole thing, the video, myself, and I hope there are no mistakes, but if there are, please correct me in the comments. Also, for some parts of Roottreemania, of course it was Roottreemania, I used Roottreemania detailed walkthrough to, write the text, because of course it was Roottreemania. And I found it on Steam. I'll put the link in the comments. Thank you so much for this person for writing this, and I hope you liked the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!